You're in surgery, and the anesthesia is being applied. What would be the worst thing to hear as you're starting to go under? This actually happened to me once when I was getting a pencil lead removed from my elbow. You can imagine how that happened. Anyway, just as I'm about to pass out, I hear the doctor say to the other guy, "Okay, rookie, let's do this." I wonder if they like to mess with people out of boredom. As someone goes under, they just start yelling, "Oh no shit," or something, then act like it never happened, and the anesthesia causes disorienting language effects. I think they actually have to Sharpie the one they cut off, but even that doesn't help sometimes. The error occurred after a hospital worker mistakenly put a preoperative mark on the wrong leg, the hospital said. Honestly, I wonder if one day there will be a shift where the lab-created stones become more desirable than mined stones. Like, oh, you had to dig your stone out of the earth? How gauche. My stones were created perfectly in a laboratory. Insert snooty nose gesture here. Just the way some people act about natural diamonds now. Learned that lesson the hard way. Shelled up $4,300 for a diamond ring for my first engagement. When that relationship ended, we were honestly terrible for each other. I was only able to get about $600 for it at a jewelry store. For my current fiancé, I shop on Etsy and managed to get a gorgeous ring with the lab-grown Alexandrite stone for around $700. She loves it. BTW. Casinos. All of the casinos in my state are video poker and video slot machines. There are barely any table games left. No one is happy. No one is having fun. It's just a room full of zombies feeding the machines and losing money. Every person I talk to is convinced that they know the secret formula to win. You cannot win. It might sound trivial, but the old slots were just a spinning reel. These new machines are extremely addictive. The way the lights flash and the sounds go off like bing bing bing. Winner of 40 cents. The entire thing is a psychology hack to give people the impression that they're winning when they're not. The entire thing is a psychology hack to give people the impression that they're winning when they're not. There's a really interesting episode of the This American Life podcast about this. The new machines are regulated in the sense that the odds have to be legit. So for example, the machine might have to have a 1 to 1,000 chance of hitting some particular jackpot. However, there is no regulation with respect to what the spins reels look like on those other 999 attempts, so they're programmed to constantly show these near misses, giving the false impression that you kept coming so close to winning. They did a study of folks with gambling addictions, and the reward neurotrigger in the brain for these near misses was nearly the same as with legit wins. Reward neurotrigger in the brain for these near misses was nearly the same as with legit wins. So true. Reminds me of a speech Al Pacino's character does in Two for the Money. See, most gamblers, when they go to gamble, they go to win. When we go to gamble, we go to lose. Subconsciously, me, I never feel better than when they're raking the chips away, not bringing them in. And everyone here knows what I'm talking about. Hell, even when we win, it's just a matter of time before we give it all back. I knew a gambling addict who came to my house with 30 grand of winnings in his pocket. I told him that's a new car or a down payment on a house, but he laughed it off and lost it again that night. It's just video game points to him. And no, he never got rich. Someone who grew up with, worked in the casino industry, the psychological tricks go beyond the machines. There will be no clocks or natural light visible on the casino floor, so the player loses all concept of time. The carpet has a pattern that will make you feel unpleasant and nauseous, so you have to look at all the pretty lights and noises. And the layout of the machines and tables are intentionally as maze-like as possible. And as you might guess, you get free drinks to lower your inhibition. The casino's goal is always to take as much of your money as legally possible when you walk in. Gambling addiction is no joke, and in my opinion the machine addicts are the worst. The number of players I've seen wear diapers, or just downright shit their pants is mind-boggling. That being said, if played correctly, both video poker and blackjack give you a slight advantage over the house, but getting a whole table to play blackjack correctly is like herding cats, drunk, coked-up cats. Not going to lie, I went to Vegas once in college and was very pleased to be entirely unimpressed with the gambling experience. Like, I already knew in my head that it's a scam, but I also know they pull out all the stops to drag people in. Only reason I'd go to Vegas again are the shows. Had a blast at all those. The house always has an advantage over a perfect player. You will always be down on video poker as your number of hands tends to infinity, and your only possibility of a blackjack advantage is card counting, which is completely mitigated by the house manipulating the shoe. What? Professional gambler here, you cannot win blackjack. There is no casino games that offers player a statistical advantage. The closest to 50% is baccarat. The only way to win casino is real poker against players. There you can have an edge despite the casino rake. Most machines are programmed to make you lose 7% over time. I totally agree with you. My fiancé and I got to Vegas once a year for the shows and restaurants, and the last we were there we were early for a show, so we were wandering around the casino area and decided to play some video slot machines. I noticed a lady get up and walk out of the casino on one of our walking loops while we were killing time, and when we came back to that machine I decided to sit down. My guess was she pumped a bunch of money in, lost it and left. So I played that one. We each put $5 into adjacent machines and hit roll a couple times. Mine hit $140 and I bought drinks the rest of the night. I'd never been inside a casino until I was almost 22. My mom ended up getting a position in one, and let me tell you, it's one of the most depressing things I've ever seen. I'd drop her off before 7 in the morning, come back after midnight, and the same people would be sitting at the same game, smoking their 1000th cigarette. I've never wanted to go since then, but God, I still think about those people sometimes. My mother's best friend's entire family is into gambling. Her husband was dying of cancer, plus badly managed diabetes, and she dropped him off at penny slots regularly. I can't blame a dying man doing whatever makes him happy, but it was the saddest thing I have ever seen. And their daughter is a full-on addict. She has a good job as the head of the IT department of a company, and it just disappears into the ether. I'll never blame an addict since I know what it feels like, but shit, casinos are a plague. I'd advocate for them to be illegal if it weren't for the fact that they just go underground. I will be honest, I would go to a local casino for the sportsbook, and seeing the mainly older crowd just playing slots almost brings a tear to my eye. None of them look happy, almost just going through the motions. The truth is they have nothing better to do, and it is so sad. Slots play on our psyche. 7 times more addictive than normal games. I just think how they could be actually having fun and saving money doing literally anything else. I went to a casino the other day. Electronic roulette. I get they want less scamming and cheating, but I'm not really there for the game but rather the interaction with the dealer and other players. I didn't play any games unfortunately as all the tables were full and I didn't feel like waiting around. Fuck, I don't gamble, but when my brother told me you play poker solely against the house, maybe it's just at the local casino, I don't know. I gave up on ever wanting to go. The whole point of poker is the social aspect. I'd give the house a percentage of winnings if it meant finding a game against randos. To be fair, there are ones that work, but they are mostly just stimulants that suppress appetite. It's not the same as burning fat necessarily, but I mean, crystal meth will make you lose weight. There's some indication that caffeine will too, but the effect size is tiny. But that's not what you're talking about. What's dangerous about a lot of commercial fat-burning products is that they are very often just a mixture of diuretics and caffeine, itself a diuretic as well as a stimulant. The weight loss is essentially temporary, because it's literal water weight, and the dehydration that ensues can be potentially lethal. There are also supplements that raise your body temperature like green tea extract. There's not really anything wrong with saying it will burn fat, because it probably will increase your metabolism enough to have a measurable effect, but it's worth essentially nothing if you're not wholly devoted to diet and exercise on top of it. All multi-level marketing companies, they tell you that all you have to do is get 5 people to sign up and they each get 5 people to sign up, etc. Except these are not mathematical geniuses running these companies. By the time you get about 12 levels deep, you've surpassed the entire population of the Earth. It's a good lesson in exponents. Every mother's group I ever tried to be a part of dissolved because everyone was trying to get everyone else to buy the products that they, themselves, were trying to promote. They'd all jump on the same bandwagon at the same time and fizzle out like a dollar store sparkler. The people running the companies aren't bad at math. The fact is they just don't care. As long as they're at the top of the pyramid, they can keep making money. And as for the people at the bottom of pyramid, I'd old enough to remember actual pyramid schemes, which were legal for a while in the late 70s and into the 80s. I had a coworker explaining that the way you do it is you wait until you're close to getting the payout, then you get your friends to join the scheme, to get you to the top. In other words, the way for you to win was to set things up so that your friends would be sure to lose. Later, 88 or so, my housemate had a pyramid program meeting at the house, where they were very careful to talk about power units and not dollars, and you were not supposed to exchange power units at the meeting. That was supposed to make it legal. Looking back, it's hard to believe that people really bought into this shit, but it happened. Funeral services. Praying on the grief of loved ones. I understand that it's really for the living to celebrate their lost loved ones, but when I'm done I just want my family to bury my dead ass in the backyard and throw a bash at their house in my honor. Doubt I'll mind considering I'm dead. Devil's advocate here. My best friend's father owns a funeral home. The amount of preparation, paperwork, maintenance, and operations that has to be done, at about any hour of the day, is very high per body. Other than the tombstone and casket, urn, most of the pricing is justified. You want to expose the dead, you need to dispose of the blood. Pierce holes with a special tool in every organ to avoid deflation. Put blood replacement that keeps you colored and slows down the rotting. There's makeup and even reconstruction at times. There's also refrigeration and transportation costs, cleaning the room and making sure the filters are perfectly clean to make sure there's no contaminations from the dead bodies. You want to cremate the body? A crematorium is incredibly expensive to build, run, maintain and repair. The concrete and bricks need to be rated for those very high heats, and not just high heats, but the quick temperature change. There's another vent system with special filters. There's the fuel to run it. There's also often the weird hours. If someone dies at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, the body won't wait until Monday at 8 a.m. to start decomposing. They need to get up and go pick it up and prepare for refrigeration at that specific time. All those things requires very special skills that, frankly, no one wants to do. So yes, they might charge a small premium for a bit more comfortable living, but their margins aren't as high as you'd imagine. I once had some demos try and tell me that using scented oil lamps somehow purified the air. Recommended it for my asthma. Like, WTF are these people on? I use it at home all the time. I think I know what I'm talking about. Oh, okay, lady, you're dumb as a rock and I'm never supporting your business. I agree. I like them for the smell, not that it's going to help me lose weight. Make my hair healthier if I consume this non-food oil. If those are even statements they used. It's just what came to me when writing this. These are what I get and use them for. Lavender helps calm me for sleep. I work at a place that sells lottery every single day to people. Some people will buy scratch tickets, Powerball, etc. They come back to the counter 523 times the same day, trading their tickets for more, spending more money because they lost all of the previous winning, or just be in an endless loop of never winning any more and not losing any less. I've asked why they do it, and they say because if they don't hit big it's not worth the cash. So winning $1 is nothing to them, but they don't realize even if they do win big they practically are just getting only half back of what they spent trying so hard to get. It's a lose-lose. Lottery is indeed a huge-ass scam. Yes and no, depends on how you approach it. I worked with a very respected statistician who, seemingly surprisingly, played the lottery regularly. Not the huge ones, but the state ones that were a few million or so. I was surprised and asked him why. His response was that as it stood, he had a 0% chance of retiring early. He could afford a few dollars a week and the lottery at least gave him a non-zero chance of retiring early. That's my justification as well. $2-3 for the fun of imagining winning is worth it for me, but I did finally conclude that it wasn't necessarily worth spending more money to improve my chances from 1 to 160 million to 2 to 160 million. So now I just buy one ticket and save my other $3 for a fancy coffee or something. I definitely get this. I've only done some scratchers as gifts, but many mercs work on this same principle. I have spent days fighting the same things over and over again in the hopes that a random number generator comes up with the right combination to get a really rare drop. It's a big dose of serotonin whenever it happens. Hospital staff is pretty professional, so I don't think they would ditch you if there's at least one passionate doctor on the scene. For example, 26/11 attacks on Mumbai by terrorists. They attacked Taj Hotel, some old coffee shop and hospital. The staff could have fled easily, but they decided to stay and try to hide the patients, which included old people and pregnant women. You can read about it or watch the awesome scene depicting the attack. No English dub is available, but you can interpret by watching it. I was under it while I partial anesthesia, so I was pretty out of it and couldn't talk or respond, but could hear things here and there, and the doctor said, "Whoa, can you imagine if she'd waited another week to come in?" I never got to circle back and ask what would have happened if I'd waited another week. Okay, patient is ready for the anesthesia. Wait, nurse, we already gave him an injection. But doctor, if the anesthesia thing injection is still on the counter, what does our patient have in the veins right now? Where's my KFC sauce, fellow doctor and nurse? Related embarrassment. First post-op appointment, after surgery where the anesthesiologist was gorgeous, and the doc asked me how my marriage was doing. I'll never know what I said while I was semi-conscious, and that kills me. Edit, fix the typo. I was present for my wife's C-section. Once everyone was good to go, the theater orderly, I assume, kicked off proceedings by announcing the name of the patient and the procedure to be performed. It would be terrifying if you heard the wrong name or wrong procedure announced. This actually happened to me, just drifting off, and I hear the nurse yell out, "Oh, we're doing procedure." Now if anyone wanted to come watch, I had specifically requested on the intake that they did not bring med students or extra people in the room for my procedure. Was already super anxious about it and cried all through triage. Fuck that nurse so much, she was horrible. In the waiting room I had to wear the gown, but there were other people, so I tied it up in the back because I don't want strangers to see my ass, and she told me off and literally pulled it all away in front of everyone. I'm still mad. I was having cataract removal and implant surgery and you're given a sedative so you're sleepy but still conscious and basically the top half of your head is frozen. I overheard the nurse inform the surgeon that a plug came loose and fell into my eye. He calmly replied that they'd have to remember to retrieve it at the end of the surgery. I assumed they remembered because I had no issues afterwards.